Where?
About 40 miles north of us.
Oh, really? You might be able to search that on that website. Yeah. Hopefully.
And I wrote it. I said
How you doing, sir?
Backstage people already?
Fred, you got to get your signs.
well, you know what?
What's the matter? You got pee-pee?
A wake-up call.
Okay, that's Kay Carl Smith's table. He's not here yet. You're helping Kay.
Well, where's his stuff?
That's a lot of extra maintenance.
They balanced the car up, same money.
So, and this just gets them on the back. Right behind you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's okay.
We don't tell you it's ridiculous how many you hand in and half of them get rejected.
Oh, these?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think she thinks about 10%. That's high as 20%.
Our forefathers were the architects for our nation. We are a country of pioneers, explorers, patriots. We fight for our liberties and for the pursuit of happiness. Our dreams have become inventions. Our determination and struggles have become our nation. This is your America, land of the free and home of the brave. We instilled these values and heard these truths, that all men and women are created equal. We have learned from the past to excel in our future. Given a challenge, we stand together to achieve anything. This is your
Rowdy, can I get more guitar and the monitor from the boys on the stage left?
All right, we've got some friends in a local band called Mullen Hatchet. We're going to do a little tribute to a real close friend of ours who's gone on to heaven. His name's Jackson Spire. And he helped inspire a lot of our dreams. He was in Blackwood. Kind of man you never want to meet.
Myself
everybody. Great to be with you. Patriots, one and all. This is like a lakeside reunion. We've been here before, some of us, but I see some brand new faces, and that does my heart good. It's great to be with you on a Sunday afternoon for the 4th annual Tax Day Tea Party. Hey, if you have flags or signs, let me see them now. If you love this country, let me hear you now. If you want to have them hear it in the halls of power in Washington, D.C., that we're not giving up on this country. We know what this country was. We want it back the way it was and better than ever. Let them hear it. Great to be with you here. I'd like to invite everybody who's milling around in the back to find a seat and join us and turn your focus toward the stage for a great patriotic event, the 4th annual Tax Day Tea Party. I want to thank Clyde Fabretti and the rest of his organizing team for putting together what I think will be a terrific, rousing, patriotic program this afternoon. They've done a lot of work. We're very pleased at 540 WFLA to be right in the middle of the Tea Party movement since day one. And we are again. We've got our booth over there with all kinds of goodies you won't have to pay a dime for. There are all kinds of vendors all over the place here. Patriots with all kinds of causes and special material to share with you. And I want to invite you to patronize them one and all. Now let me ask you a couple of questions here. I want to hear you loud and clear if this is the very first tea party you've ever been to. How about that? Fresh blood. Now let me hear it. Let me hear it from you who have been to at least one tea party before this. And now, let me hear from you pioneers in the Tea Party movement who were right here on the shores of beautiful Lake Eola for the first Great Orlando Tea Party on March 21st, 2009. Awesome. I'm going to take you back there in just a few moments for a few words some of you may well remember. You know what? I read a poll over the weekend prepping for Bud Hedinger Live tomorrow morning. And this poll from the lamestream media, as Sarah would call it, suggested that the Tea Party movement had stalled out and had run out of steam. It doesn't feel that way to me. Does it feel that way to you? Let's get started. You know, we gather among patriots, but we gather in the sight of the good Lord Almighty. So let us begin today by acknowledging Him, praying to Him for wisdom and guidance in all things. Our invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Our invocation from Pastor Jim Book, the minister of the First Christian Church of Winter Park, a good friend and spiritual leader of the Tea Party movement in Central Florida. Pastor, come on out here and join us.
Let's do like they did at the First Continental Congress. You don't have to get on your knees, but I would like you to stand and let's beseech God and His throne for His grace, His mercy, and for wisdom. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today because we do not rest on our own laurels, our own success, our own victories. Today, Father, we know that no government can rise to success without your handiwork. We know, Lord, that you are the divine creator. We stand on the transcendent truths of your scriptures. And we believe, Lord, that if this divine republic is going to continue to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, it's going to take consecrated citizens of this great nation to take on the responsibility to call upon its leaders to be responsible in their legislation, in that which they legislate. And Father, we pray right now that concerned citizens across this nation will take it upon themselves to seek you out, to be guided by your truths, and to remember that we must work as if everything depended upon us, but pray as if everything depended upon you. I thank you for the taxpayers, Lord. I thank you for those who have given everything, their last full measure of devotion, so that we can have this rally today and we can be a nation of freedom and liberty. But Lord, this liberty comes at a price. So may we recognize today that we cannot continue to spend ourselves into obscurity, that we must be fiscally responsible as a nation, both on a local, state, and federal level. And I pray, Father, today as I close this prayer out, that we will replace the politicians with statesmen. Men and women who will put the best interest of this nation ahead of their own self-interest. That is our prayer, Father, in Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing, Patriots. Right now we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And we had a little rehearsal before. And I was really, really impressed with the young man who's going to lead some of our young patriots in the Pledge of Allegiance, and all of us. His name is Alexander Rechnick. He is 4.5 years old. He's a student at Alpha Christian Academy, and I'm going to do something I don't do easily. I'm going to give up my microphone to this young patriot. Come right up here if you would, please, Alexander. We're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you. And please remain standing now as the national anthem is sung once again by a great patriot, Jeannie Plakin, who, as many of you know, is the daughter of Republican Florida State Representative Scott Plakin, who was proudly behind a video camera about 5 rows back here, as I see. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeannie Plakin leading us in the Star-Spangled Banner. Technical difficulties. Are you kidding? I'm a walking bad luck charm for technical difficulties. Ask the guys over at the 540 WFLA booth over there. They'll tell you. Let us know when we're ready to go with the music. For those of you who were here for the first Great Orlando Tea Party in 2009, do you perchance remember the Orlando Tea Party Declaration that I wrote with inspiration from the good Lord and read to you that day, and that you signed on a long piece of parchment paper?
Yes.
Right over there?
Yes.
Thousands of signatures, and we sent it on to Washington, D.C., and it was read into the congressional record and unfurled on the Capitol steps by Congressman John Mica. And it seemed to make an impact. I thought it might make an impact here this morning, this afternoon. Let me give you this, if I can find what I brought with me today. Just excerpts from the Tea Party Declaration, because that's where the Tea Party movement began in Central Florida. And when I reread this morning, what struck me was, some say the Tea Party movement has peaked and seen its day. I say that's not true, and that cannot be true, because the need for the Tea Party movement has never been greater than it is today. And may I say something else? The Tea Party movement is the only force in American politics today that is responsible for putting the brakes, at least to some degree, on the runaway left-wing agenda of Barack Obama. That's flat true. We backed Tea Party conservatives, and we got 87 of them in the House of Representatives, and it changed the balance of power. Now, we need to solidify the Tea Party majority in the House, and we need to achieve a Tea Party majority in the Senate. And we need to buy Barack Obama a one-way ticket back to Chicago, where he can hang out with his community organizing buddies till the end of time. We back on? So those liberals trying to jam us. It ain't gonna work. Let me read a little bit of the Tea Party Declaration and see whether or not you understand what I'm saying. We have fought the good fight. We have achieved great things as a movement. But when you go back to 2009 and you know what we were standing for and what we were railing against, you will hear in the words from 2009, a short excerpt, that we still have work to do, patriots. We can't give up on this. We need to step on the gas, not on the brakes, in the Tea Party movement. And we're here today to do it and reignite the patriotic fires of liberty and freedom and take this country back. From the Orlando Tea Party Declaration, very briefly, March 21st, 2009, right here. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for like-minded patriotic Americans to rally as one against the powers that threaten to alter, diminish, and destroy this country we love, proper respect for the opinions of our fellow citizens requires that we should clearly state the grievances that impel us to gather at this Orlando Tea Party to protest peacefully, but passionately in the tradition of our forefathers whose Boston Tea Party resonated around the world. Be it resolved on this 21st day of March in the year 2009 at the Great Orlando Tea Party on the shore of Lake Eola in Orlando, Florida, and let us reaffirm it on this 15th day of April in 2012, that just as our forefathers at the Boston Tea Party protested tyranny at the hands of the British Crown and taxation without representation, we hereby raise our voices against the arrogance and the ruinous policies of our own government. A government that ignores the will of we the people. A government that drowns us in debt. A government that forsakes the free enterprise system that has driven the engine of the greatest economy on earth in favor of a relentless march towards socialism designed to subvert the worth of the individual and encourage the intrusion of government in all aspects of our lives. Let us hereby resolve that we have had enough of massive government-driven bailouts using our money. Stop spending money we do not have. This is not your money. It is our money, and we demand you stop the madness. We have had enough of so-called economic stimulus plans that falsely promise we can spend ourselves back to prosperity. We have had enough of trillion-dollar spending schemes being passed without Congress or the people knowing what is in them. This is taxation without deliberation, and we will not tolerate it. We have had enough of the out-of-control government spending that is mortgaging our future and threatening our very way of life. We have had enough of both major parties being arrogant and unresponsive to the people they were elected to serve. And finally, we've had enough of seeing money taken unfairly from honest, hard-working Americans through excessive taxation and redistributed to individuals who have not earned the money. We have had enough of capitalism being targeted as the problem instead of the solution, and we have had enough of government being called the solution when government, as Ronald Reagan told us, is the problem. Amen? Let's get started with the program, shall we? The idea of the American dream is the true belief that a man can lose everything down to his last $5. And he was at one time in his life right there, and then climb back up to sing in front of 1 million people across America, proud and free. Only in America. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Bruce Ballott.
Got a lot of friends on Facebook and Twitter. We talk a lot of politics thanks to the liberal. Even though the ruling class knows how we feel, they keep the truth spinning like a carnival wheel. We've been told backwards for way too long, but there's a sleeping giant waking up to right this wrong. So let them go and call us all an angry mob. Next time we vote, they'll be out of a job. We're gonna have a party. Look at all the lovely sights. Nothing like a tea party to say what's on your mind. We're standing up for our country and God, our right to freedom of speech. We're gonna have a tea party, so come along with me. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a party, so come along with me. Get off the couch, come and pour me some tea. Show me some hospitality. Y'all already do that. They're the people, we just want you to know. Your train is running off the track. We're gonna have a tea party and vote to take our country back. We're gonna turn back the hands of time and vote to take our country back. Hey, tea party. Those folks on the hill, they're standing in the bill, putting our kids' futures in doubt. They ought to cut all our taxes with chainsaws and axes. Let the marketplace sort it all out. Guys, stand up, oh, make your voice heard. Stand up.
In May of 2009, as the Tea Party movement launched here in Orlando and across the country, Lou, who's an author, retired business executive, business legend really, and a true American patriot, penned the famous open letter to President Barack Obama titled, "Mr. President, You Scare Me." You've heard of this one, I'll bet you. It received widespread media attention all across the country. It resulted in Lou's appearances on Fox and other networks, national TV, and radio talk shows across America. and the first serious reported case of hives on the part of the president. They didn't like this at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They're going to like this even less. Today, exclusively at our 4th annual Tax Day event here in Orlando, Lou's going to unveil and read to you his newest open letter to the president, not titled, Mr. President, You Scare Me, but now that you're bidding for a second term, Mr. President, you terrify me. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a great patriot, Lou Pritchett.
But thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I don't look it, but I was born in the year 2 of the Great Depression, 1931. I was born in the year 2 of the Great Depression, 1931. And spent the first 10 years of my life influenced by extreme hardships caused by the Depression. By today's standard, my family was about 3.5 miles below the poverty level. But you know, if you never had, it wasn't that bad. And when I borrowed shoes to graduate the 8th grade, it really didn't matter because all the other kids borrowed shoes too. Well, in June 1944, my only brother was killed in the Normandy invasion in France. And he so upset my father that my father died 1 year later. Well, there was just my mother, my sister, and myself. We went it alone. My mother had a job in a department store. My sister dropped out of school and joined her. And I went to work selling our shining shoes on the streets of Memphis, Tennessee for a dime a shine. Now, government assistance was simply not available in 1931, 32, or in the early 40s. And I'm confident that had it been, my mother never would have accepted a nickel. Because as late as 1977, when she died, she said, I never want the government to interfere in our lives. Now, I mentioned this bit of personal history, please forgive me, but I want you to understand that millions upon millions of Americans, like your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, never expected nor wanted the government to always bail them out. The only thing they wanted was an opportunity. And today, Mr. Obama is trying to do his best to take that opportunity away. And I gotta tell you, it makes me crazy. Now, as some of you know, my Scare Me letter went viral in April '09, and it had over 10 million hits on the internet. Well, I've written a follow-up letter, and I want to share it with you, and this letter will be released to the press tomorrow. To the editor. In April 2009, I sent President Obama a letter titled, You Scare Me. Now, after observing his performance for 3 years, he no longer scares me, he terrifies me. First, he has done more to damage America's standing in the world, to lower the standing of living in America, to impoverish future generations, and to shake our faith in our country's future than any other American president in history. Second, with a compliant Congress, a lapdog media, a weak and almost non-existent Republican Party, he has shattered the American dream of job security, home ownership, rugged individualism for millions of Americans. And ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, he has poisoned and divided our civil society with his politics of envy, class warfare, race warfare, religious warfare. But let me tell you what he is doing. He is not stupid. He is using those divisions as fundamental building blocks for his socialist agenda. Third, culturally, Mr. Obama is totally out of touch with traditional American values. Now let me make sure you understand. This has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with where the man was born. Rather, it has everything to do with where and how and with whom he was raised, schooled, educated, trained, and associates with today. Fourth, he has surrounded himself with naive academicians, lawyers, politicians, bureaucrats, and socialist-leaning czars. These people arrogantly think and behave exactly as he does. These people offer no balanced suggestions. They offer no devil's advocate positions. They think in lockstep with him that big government is the answer to all our problems. Fifth, he not only encourages, but he aids and abets the unionization of all American industry. In my judgment, this is an albatross around the neck of the free market. Sixth, and this is the one that should terrify hell out of all of you. He has increased the national debt by over 30% in just 3 years. If re-elected, and this rate of increase continues, America will be burdened with an unsustainable $20 trillion debt, which will result in the country's financial death. Recovery, folks, will be impossible, and America will look in 4 years like Greece looks today. 7. Given his almost fanatical beholding to the environmental and the global warming fringe, he has deliberately discouraged U.S. fossil fuel exploration and production while wasting millions of taxpayers' dollars on solar, wind, and algae experiments. Hear me close. Folks, he refuses to accept that oil, gas, and coal are not America's enemies. They are America's assets, which properly managed could make us energy independent within 1 generation. The 8th point. He views America as a power in retreat, which abused its world dominance at one time. Therefore, he systematically apologizes around the world. And last month, I'm sure many of you heard him, he whispered to Russian President Medvedev, quote, "This is my last election. After my election, I have more flexibility," unquote. Now, just what the hell is that secret that Obama is holding from us that he's going to share with Putin after he's gone, after he's elected? Tell me that. 9th, and finally, after all of his missteps, his bad decision-making, his poor management, his zero leadership, the fact that he has the audacity to seek re-election should terrify every American in this country. Folks, I'm 80 years old. I've seen it all. I predict that if Obama is re-elected, future historians and political interpreters will look back at the period 2008-2016 and conclude that the 44th President of the U.S. allowed the takers to overpower the makers, which resulted in the greatest economy in the world, in history in fact, to vanish from the face of the earth. And I say, farewell America, the world will meet you, miss you, unquote. Folks, that's the letter. It is my my hope and prayer that that letter will also go viral, because I hope that it convinces more and more people that never before in U.S. history has so much depended upon America's understanding that we are facing one of the greatest crises in U.S. history. Convincing people that this election will be won not by letters to the editor, not by political speeches, not by radio or TV sound bites. Folks, it will be won by people like you with a conviction, with a belief, with a willingness to pay the price in helping get the enlightened voters in the polling place on November 6th. Unless we do it, we're dead in the water. Let me end this on one final, my favorite quote. To every man, there comes in his lifetime that special moment when he is physically tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to him and fitted to his talent. What a tragedy if that moment finds him unprepared or unqualified for the work which would be his finest hour, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, those words were spoken by Winston Churchill 70 years ago, and I think they are very, very appropriate for the Tea Party movement today. For you see, folks, if each of us is prepared and is qualified, then November 6, 2012 just might be our and our country's finest hour as we reclaim this shining city on the hill from the ravages of Obama socialism. It is now or never, patriots. It is now or never. God help us if we fail. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, preaching, ladies and gentlemen. I love that guy. Got the heart of a lion. Never backs down. I got to take these off. I look like Secret Service, and with what's been going on with Obama's Secret Service this weekend, I probably don't need to look like Secret Service, do I? Well, what's happened to the Bud Man there? It's a little strange. Okay. Right now we're going to hear from Dr. Tom P. Trevisani Sr. He's the Executive Director of the 1830 Project. We're looking forward, not backward, to the Andrew Jackson administration when I say 1830 Project. Stay tuned. It's a nationally renowned board-certified plastic surgeon with an illustrious career spanning over 30 years. His talent and passion for successful outcomes is not just limited to his professional practices and standards, but extends deep into his commitment to influence constitutionally conservative, successful outcomes in the governance of America in the future. In his service as the Executive Director of the 1830 Project, Dr. Trevisani is dedicated to educating and inspiring the 18 to 30-year-old millennials generation to take responsibility for the America that they would like to inherit. A country that seeks and embraces constitutional limited government, fiscal responsibility in government, and the wisdom of free markets. Let's spend a few moments now with a great patriot, Dr. Tom P. Trevisani.
Hello. There are 50 million Americans between the ages of 18 and 30. And in 2008, 66% of those who voted for Obama. Today, that polling is down to 56% due to his own conduct. We hope to take the message of American exceptionalism, individual freedom, equal justice, rights from God. These principles are what the country is founded upon. The statist, the collectivist, does not embrace these beliefs. Obama is on campus every 12 days. No one from the constitutional conservative movement precedes him or follows him to offer these young Americans an alternative. Our hope is that we can inspire them to reconnect with their constitutional conservative principles of equal justice, of equal individual freedom, and rights from God. This requires a great degree of activity and organization. We hope to carry this message to them on a regular basis through events, screenings of good movies dedicated to conveying these principles, debates, and inspirational speeches.
Proud, you know, I'm in the agriculture business. I grow houseplants for a living. And you might think that's not important. But let me tell you this, the federal government thinks it's so important that every year they send me a census form. Now you might think a census form that comes out every 10 years. Well, plants are so important that every year I get a census form. And it asks me how many plants I grow. It gets very specific. It wants to know how many petunias I grow, how many marigolds, how many pansies, snapdragons, which size pots they were in. And the USDA NASS, which is their Census Bureau, literally goes around the country and counts beans. Now, when I get this report each year, I've got better things to do than sit there and fill out how many plants I grew. So I don't fill it out. And then what will happen is the phone calls will come from the USDA. And they want to know why haven't I filled out my census form, to which I just said, oh, I didn't get to it. And then what they'll do is eventually, they'll get so frustrated without me, they'll send an agent out to my nursery with the forms, and they'll start asking me how many plants I grew. So I just want to share that with you. Now, the ironic thing is, I remember when Obama ran for president, do you remember where he said he was going to look through the budget, line by line, and like a surgeon, he was going to take a scalpel and cut out all the waste. So apparently, he also believes counting petunias in is a very important national goal for us. Now, these are all great agents. They're nice people. They're doing their jobs. But obviously, the government doesn't need to count petunias or marigolds. You know, I'm not sure about the pansies. Maybe you want to count those. But I have an organization here I help lead called the Center-Right Coalition. And we work with Americans for Tax Reform. If you're the leader of a political group, a business group, social group, we have homeschoolers, Republicans, Libertarians, Tea Parties, 912s, we have elected officials. We meet once a month, there are no dues at the Center-Right Coalition, and we get together in a roundtable forum. We share what's going on, we work together where we can to share good ideas that are happening and try to oppose ones that are going to happen. And let me share with you something we need to be prepared for, just briefly, right here in Central Florida. It's great to be concerned about national issues, but sometimes we need to look locally, and we do need to do that. Now that this rail has been shoved down our throats, I can tell you right now, the leaders of Orange, Seminole, Osceola, all the ones around here are looking at doing a permanent 1% sales tax that will never ever go away to fund the rail. It's time for us to keep an eye on this, start talking with our county commissioners in all these different counties, because I guarantee you it's going forward. Also, there's a push to include school buses as public transportation so that the school board can then promote a tax increase along with the county. You're fighting City Hall, and they spend lots of money and lots of resources to push a tax increase. I don't particularly believe school buses are a public transportation system. The last time I saw somebody get on a school bus in Sanford without permission, she got arrested and hauled off to jail. It's simply not something you can get on and take around unless you have special permission. But if you're a leader of a local group, you want to be plugged with the Center-Right Coalition, I'll be down here in the front. Come see me. I'll give you my card. And together, by working together, we can make a difference. I tell you, 12 people at a city commission meeting asking what's going on is an army. So you all have a lot of power, and let's exercise it and work together. You all have a great day.
Hey, we're heading for a music break here pretty shortly, but we got a couple of dynamite speakers I want you to hear, and I want to mention this. The first annual National Conservative Film Fest is coming up, and you want to be a part of this. The Hollywood insiders think there's a culture war going on. The NAACPC presents the first National Conservative Film Festival to be held in town here, down on Disney property at the Coronado Springs Resort, August 30th through September 2nd. That's Labor Day weekend. Make plans already. This will be following the Republican National Convention over in Tampa. Please visit the website on Facebook, facebook.com, or here today at the NAACPC table. It's the National Conservative Film Festival, also on Twitter at Conservative Film Fest. Come see who is on the real REEL right at the National Conservative Film Fest. Now, another great patriot for you, and I know you'll make welcome again, K. Carl Smith, the Executive Director of the Frederick Douglass Republicans. He's a dad and a granddad, K. Carl Smith, Executive Director of the Frederick Douglass Republicans, known to many as the conservative messenger, an unyielding defender of the Constitution and liberty, inspired by the guiding principles of the Founding Fathers, and holding fast to the oath taken during his service to our country. He has appeared on many popular TV shows, including The 700 Club and Fox News Huckabee Show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here he is, Mr. K. Carl Smith.
Hello. It's a great day to be in Orlando. And it's also a great day to be an American. Let me cut some confusion here. I have this shirt on. It says FDR. It's not who you think. Frederick Douglass Republican. Let's get that straight. Okay. I am in the right place. I am in the right place. I tell you what, I have about 15 minutes with you, and let me say I thank you for the opportunity to come and speak and share this message that God has given me, how we can save our country, how we can preserve liberty for our children. And it's called the Frederick Douglass Republican methodology. Let me cover this now, because if I don't do it now, I'll probably forget to say it, but for a donation of $20, you get my signature, and you get this book about Frederick Douglass. He is the key for saving this nation. And we have a table out back, and where the books are available. Let me share with you, kind of whet your appetite a little bit, what this Frederick Douglass Republican methodology is all about. I am a conservative. I am a conservative, but that is not how I describe myself politically. I am a Frederick Douglass Republican. Here's why I say this. In the minority communities, the word conservative, the word Republican, and the word Tea Party has a negative connotation. It is synonymous with the word racist. If you call yourself a Reagan conservative, a Tea Party conservative, a black conservative, a Christian conservative, you might as well drop that last word conservative and call yourself a black racist, a Christian racist, a Tea Party racist, a Reagan racist, and here's why. Don't forget that back in the 1950s and 60s, it was conservative Democrats who did everything they could do to block civil rights legislation. They wrote the Jim Crow law. They wrote the Black Codes. They bombed 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, the city where I'm from. Republicans and Tea Party activists, we pick up the same word, but we have a different meaning. We want to preserve the principles of the Founding Fathers who wrote the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. So it's the same word, but we have a different meaning. So you got to be careful when you use that word conservative, because it depends on who you're talking to. With you, I don't have to define my conservatism. But based on your audience, you got to make sure you should define the word first before you use it. I'm not saying don't use it. You're free to use it, but understand your political exchange may not be a pleasant one or an effective one. Okay? Frederick Douglass, I gotta talk about Frederick Douglass. What is this oxymoron that I'm uttering here, Frederick Douglass? I am a Frederick Douglass Republican. That means I believe in the four life empowering values of Frederick Douglass. Respect for the Constitution.
Yes.
Respect for life.
Yes.
I believe in limited government. And I believe in personal responsibility. If a man does the work, he should eat. Those are the four life empowering values of Frederick Douglass. Anybody can become a Frederick Douglass Republican because it's not based on color, it's based on values. And those are those four life empowering values that Douglass based his life on. Frederick Douglass, born 1818, a slave in Maryland. He was born below poverty. Born below poverty. He did not even own his own body. He was homeschooled, self-taught. 0 days of formal schooling. Never owned a pair of shoes until he was 8 years old. Never slept in a bed until the age of 10. 1838, Douglass escapes from slavery. He meets up with a guy by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, the great abolitionist. That was Douglass's mentor for a while. Douglass later breaks away from Garrison for two reasons. The first reason, William Lloyd Garrison believed, and the Garrisonians believed, that the founding fathers gave us slavery in the Constitution because of the 3/5 clause saying blacks are 3/5 of human beings. Douglass believed that at one time, but he did something very interesting. Douglass went back and read the Constitution. Then he went back and read the Federalist Papers. He said, wait a minute, the Constitution is not a pro-slavery document, it's an anti-slavery document. The 3/5 compromise has nothing to do with say blacks are 3/5 of a human being, but it was a compromise to limit the congressional representation of slave states. Douglass gave that clarity in 1861. It's in the book. Frederick Douglass. The second reason why he breaks away from Garrison. I know you're from different political perspectives, but I gotta explain this oxymoron. Frederick Douglass Republican. Republican Party was started in 1854 by Charles Sumner. It had two planks in his platform: to end slavery, because the slave masters were Democrats.
That's right.
To end slavery and advance the civil rights of black Americans. William Lloyd Garrison was a pacifist. He was not about political activism. It was Frederick Douglass who declared political world slavery. Here's the connection. Frederick Douglass started speaking about his experience in 1841, 14 years before the Republican Party was established. 14 years before the party was established. By his experience as a slave, the needs to abolish slavery. Douglass became the face of the abolitionist movement. Abolitionists are those who started the Republican Party. He was the catalyst. He was the motivator. He was the inspirator to encourage people to do something politically to end slavery. Douglass declared political war on slavery, and so a political party was started, the Republican Party. That's the relationship. So Douglass is the key. He was an advisor to 5 U.S. presidents, beginning with Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation. 5 U.S. presidents. Most folks will get a chance to meet one president. He was an advisor to 5. He was an entrepreneur, a free market entrepreneur, a capitalist. He owned 2 newspaper companies. When Douglass passed away in 1895, he had amassed $300,000 in savings. He earned much more. Douglass is the key. How we can take the life-empowering values of the conservative philosophy and share it with all Americans, especially minorities, and be successful. A self-proclaimed Republican and the quintessential constitutional conservative. Frederick Douglass. He's the answer. I see no other answer. He wrote about these things. He lived these things. He lived these things. So if we want to save our nation, what we got to do as conservatives now, we're losing the propaganda battle. We got to get in people's ear. We got to engage at the local level. Frederick Douglass is the way to do that. In my book, it gives you the information you need to engage. But when people in the past bought the book, they still weren't engaging. I was curious why you're not engaging. When they still lacked the confidence. So I wrote a pamphlet to go with the book. It is available for a $20 donation. in the back. Here is what I learned. The pamphlet is called The Most Asked Challenges. When the scribes and the Pharisees, they tried to trap Jesus, to get him to say something so they can discredit him and demean him. We're facing the same thing as conservatives from the liberals. They try to trap us, to demean us, to demonize us. You got to learn how to respond to the challenges. People ask me, do you support the Tea Party movement? I say, I'm like Frederick Douglass. I work with anybody who wants to do right. Do you support President Obama? I support President Obama when he's right. I will not surrender my principles and support any president, including President Obama, when he's wrong. It's not about color, it's about values. Frederick Douglass is the answer. I can't find no other answer. It works. I've been doing this in Alabama for the past 3 years now, taking the conservative philosophy through the vehicle of Frederick Douglass to minority communities with a 90% success rate of turning their values, which are conservative, into conservative votes. I want to teach you how to do it. You got to be empowered with this message. You better check me on my time. I'm on the road. Okay. You got to be empowered how to do this. A lot of my conservative friends, white friends, say, okay, Carl, blacks and Hispanics not going to listen to me because I'm not black, I'm not Hispanic. That's not true. You got to be trained. You got to be taught. Who established the first diversity outreach program that had major impact in this world? You have any idea? It was Jehovah God. Yes. When he commissioned Paul to take the gospel to the Gentiles. Wait a minute, Paul was a Jew. He was commissioned to take the gospel to people of different races, the Gentiles. You have to be trained how to do it. You got to be trained how to do it. I have to be trained how to do it. I've been trained. Now I want to teach you how to empower you with this methodology. What we want to do between now and next year is to create a nationwide army of Frederick Douglass Liberty Messengers that will counter-occupy Wall Street. That will reignite America's passion for liberty. If you want to talk about liberty, you got to bring Frederick Douglass into the equation. He's the answer to save this nation and get it back toward not only godly principles, but the principles of the founding fathers. Douglass respected the Constitution. He admired the founding fathers. He believed in liberty. That's why he escaped from slavery. He wanted his God-given right for self-rule. He wanted his free will. He's the answer. This methodology trumps the race card. It will put Jesse Jackson, Eric Sharpton out of the race-baiting business forever. You can't call Frederick Douglass Republican a racist. He was a victim of racism. You can't call Frederick Douglass Republican a sellout. He helped others to escape from slavery. He's the answer. Now, you got to become a student of Douglass. Don't just say walk around here, I'm a Frederick Republican. You got to show yourself approved. You got to study and show yourself approved. That's all the time I have. Thank you for the opportunity. If you want more information, for a $20 donation, not only you get the book, but you get my signature that works more than that. God bless you. Thank you.
K. Carl Smith. Now time for our keynote speaker. Governor Rick Scott is the 45th governor of the great state of Florida. Had him on the show Friday, had him on many times. He's excited to be with you. Let me tell you some things about him you might not know. This you do know, as he promised during the campaign, this governor is focused relentlessly on creating jobs and turning Florida's economy around and conducting the noble experiment I endorse of trying to run this state like a business, for crying out loud. After attending high school and community college, he enlisted in the United States Navy. He served an active duty on board the USS Glover as a radar man. The GI Bill enabled Rick Scott to attend college and law school. While enrolled at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, working full-time in a local grocery store, Rick and Ann made their first significant foray into the business world by buying 2 Kansas City donut shops for Rick's mom to manage. Following graduation with a degree in business administration, Rick Scott earned a law degree from Southern Methodist University. A successful businessman with a Midwestern work ethic, Rick Scott is considered one of America's foremost entrepreneurs, and he has brought his business experience to Tallahassee. As governor, Rick Scott is working to ensure every Florida family has the same opportunity to live the American dream, to provide children an opportunity for a great education, and every adult an opportunity to get a job. And through his entrepreneurship, Rick Scott developed a reputation in the healthcare industry for providing affordable, high-quality care to patients. As governor, he brings a similar vision for quality and efficiency to benefit the people of Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, our Governor, Rick Scott.
Good afternoon. Who believes in liberty? Who believes in lower taxes? Who believes in smaller government? Efficiency? A new president? A president that remembers who we are? A president that's not going to tell us what insurance to buy? A president that's actually going to lower your taxes. Less regulation, less litigation. We need to change the direction of our country. You are the key. Think about the impact you had in 2010. You changed the direction, but we're not done. It's still early. There are still people up there that don't realize that they work for us. They think they work for themselves. It's their money. Your taxes is government money. It's our money. We need the opportunity to live each of our version of the American dream. And that dream can be, you get to do whatever you choose to do. Not what the government tells you to choose to do. Not what the government tells you what to buy. Our individual rights. Our individual freedom. Now, only because of you am I your governor. About 15 months ago, 16, almost 2 years ago now, I started running, I guess, and you showed up and you helped me get elected. And thank you, first off, thank you very much. And also, thank you for showing up today. This has an impact. Think about it, if you were on the other side and you wanted higher taxes, more regulation, more litigation, would you like events like this? No, it scared the living daylights out of you. If you're an elected official and you hadn't done the right things, would you like events like this? No, you know you're going to be held accountable. So I've had 2 sessions now. What have we been able to do? We've cut the business tax for 2/3 of businesses that have been paying the tax when I came into office. Who hires people? Businesses hire people, not government. If we make sure your state, your city, you're the ones that build businesses, guess what? We're going to have a lot of jobs. If we believe government does it, what's going to happen? We're going to lose jobs. We're on the process of cutting almost 1,100 state regulations. How many of you like more regulations? No! What are they thinking? We didn't elect people to add higher taxes and more regulation, more litigation. What are they doing? We've got to stop that. And if we don't stop it, guess what? We won't have jobs in our country. We want jobs in America. Not in Vietnam, not in India, not in China. We want jobs in America. This is our country. Now, what do you think about the government telling us we got to buy their healthcare products? Thank goodness for Attorney General Pam Bondi. She has has worked tirelessly to make sure that we win at the Supreme Court. And we should win, right? How many of you believe it's constitutional to tell us what we have to buy? No. It's already bad enough they tax the living daylights out of it. They shouldn't be telling us what to buy. So hopefully the Supreme Court will do the right thing. But guess what? If they don't, which I think they're going to do the right thing, what are we going to do in November? We're going to elect the right people.
Yes.
We've got big races coming on. We've got the presidency. We should win. One, we have to win. If we want freedom, we have got to have a different president. If we want individual rights, and we want our version of the American dream that we get to run, we get to live, we've got to have a new president, a new direction. Now we're doing the right things in Florida. We've reduced taxes, we've reduced regulation, we've reduced litigation. So we're doing the right things, but you know what? We've got to have a federal partner. We can't do it all ourselves, because you know what? They're involved in everything you do. So we have got to make sure a new president, a new U.S. Senator. How many of you think we're going to get a new U.S. Senator this year? Now, what did you do 2 years ago? You had got me elected and you got Marco Rubio elected. And Senator Rubio, he's standing up there, he's defending your rights, your freedoms. Now we have to have a second U.S. Senator to do the exact same thing, and a president to do the exact same thing. Now, we've got a lot of state races also. Every state House member, every senator is up for re-election this year because of redistricting. And I just want to do a shout out to some of them that are here today. I think, see, make sure, Representative Brian Nelson, is he here? He's here somewhere. I saw him a little while ago. Let's give Representative Nelson a great hand. Thank him for the auto accident fraud reform we got done this year. He did it. He led that effort and he got it done. Next, Representative Plagan. Is Scott here? Yep. There it is, right there. Another hard worker. Individual rights, individual freedoms, lower taxes, less regulation. Representative Eric Eisnockel. Is Eric here? Eric's doing a great job. Another, there he is, right back there. Everybody, make sure you have a chance to say hi to each of these. They're up there every day. They're working tirelessly. And we're in session 2 months a year, but you know what? On top of that, they're out working every day. They have committees. They are working on what they're going to do next session to make sure the right things happen. Next, Congrwoman Sandy Adams. Is Sandy? Where is she? She's here somewhere. I saw her. Where is she? There, she's back there. Make sure you see Sandy. She's doing a great job. Next, Representative Steve Precourt. Is Steve here? There's Steve back there. Make sure you go back and see him. You can't be more committed to individual freedoms, lower taxes, less regulation, less litigation than those individuals I talked about. They are very focused on your rights. Now, what do you need to do this year? Make sure everybody that believes your way registers to vote.
Yes.
If any of you are not registered, you've got to register to vote, and make sure everybody you know that believes the way we do, that want to take our country back, you get registered to vote. Next, show up and vet these candidates. What do you believe? What do they believe in? Ask them. Why do they believe that way? Ask them. If they can't explain it to you, you can't vote for them. And then work to get them elected. Put yard signs out. Go to rallies for them. Tell your neighbors. Send emails. Make sure everybody knows why you're going to vote the way you're going to vote. And then get everybody out to vote in November, or in August and November, the primary and in November. And then, just like you should do to me, hold me accountable. Hold all of us accountable. Say, are you doing what you said you're going to do? If I'm not, let me know. It's not fair to you. You voted to get me in office. If I'm not doing the right thing, make sure you let me know. Well, we're doing the right thing in Florida. Jobs are coming back.
Yeah.
We are at a 3-year low in unemployment, down to 9.3%. Jobs are coming back. We're the third fastest growing state in jobs, third fastest growing state in people moving back to our state. So we're heading in the right direction, but we are not done. We still have 900,000 people out of work. We've got to help each of those individuals get to work. Now the way you do it, you help Florida companies build jobs. Have Florida companies do well. We've got to do everything we can to make sure that we don't, it's not that they focused on a job in China or India or Europe and South America. It's a job, how do we get more jobs here? It's how do we get Florida companies to do well? You can do it. If we elect the right people and lower the taxes, make sure that, think about it, when you go buy a product, you don't say, oh, I'm willing to pay more taxes because the company's headquartered in a high tax state. No. Or a high regulation, high litigation state. No, you're not. So if we do the right things here, jobs will flow to Florida, and that's what we're going to do. So I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you for giving me this opportunity. This is the greatest chance to have a positive impact on the country I could ever imagine. You have to remember, I started school living in public housing. My dad was a bus driver, then a truck driver. I joke now I'm back in public housing. It is better. It's a little bit bigger and it's better. Hopefully you'll come to Tallahassee and visit. But only in America can that happen. Now, I've got to do my job, and I'm committed to do it. Only in America, though, can you go from living in public housing to being the governor of the greatest state in the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
So, this is our year. If we do the right thing, then we're going to have a great 2013. If we do the right thing, we're going to have the right elections, we're going to have the right people elected, we're going to change the direction. We had a big change last time, but not enough. We have control of the federal House, but not the Senate. We can do that. We can control the presidency because of people that believe our way. But we need to do the same thing here in Florida. Make sure every House member, every Senate member that you believe in, they get elected. You can do it. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your emails. Thank you for showing up to my events. Thank you for all, because if you do this, there's plenty of people on the other side. And thank you for all the welcome signs. I'm very appreciative. And I love you. God bless this great country. God bless this great state. God bless Orlando. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Governor Rick Scott, there's a lot of places he could have been on a Sunday afternoon. He's at a Tea Party rally with us. Thank you, Governor. We appreciate it. Folks, most of you are on your feet for the governor's.
He is a big client. Hedinger Live, 2369 on 540 WFLA radio. I think it's a phenomenal event, just when we needed to reignite the Tea Party movement. There are a lot of people who think the Tea Party movement has seen its day. I don't happen to think it's true, and I think the need for all the Tea Party stands for and brings to the table, and the political clout only the Tea Party movement has been shown to have, is more essential today than ever before.
Why do you think it's important that age category between 18 to 30 get involved and know what's going on with issues, economic finance?
Because we are going to pass this country to you. You have the energy. You are the future of this country. We're all going to hang on as long as we can, and we're going to go down fighting. But we know eventually we're going to go down. And who comes up behind? The 1830 movement is absolutely essential. And the Tea Party and the 1830 movement need to be joined at the hip now and forevermore for the future of this country.
What advice would you give college students, like the college Republicans, that want to get involved? What advice would you give them? How can they get involved? How can they better educate themselves on all of these issues?
Well, I would certainly think that they need to be about the business of, on a regular basis, reading good conservative publications, and there's just slews of them online. I mean, from American Thinker to National Review Online, all the materials we have on our website at 540WFLA.com, the Weekly Standard, and on and on and on. Attending events like this, backing conservative candidates for office. They may be too young for the particular office themselves, but they can be the spine of a campaign effort. Young, energetic people who believe in what a candidate brings to the table and support them, get them elected, get them re-elected, and then it's their time, and the cycle continues. That's what needs to happen.
Section 8, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're warming up for the big finish of the 4th Annual Tax Day Tea Party, Patriots. So make your way back toward your seats and welcome back the great Patriot by popular demand from earlier on. He's got 2 songs coming. I'll give